Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the latest episode of The Boys, Here Comes a Candle to Light You to Bed. Here comes a candle to light you to bed. Sweet Jesus, these long-ass titles. And as you can tell, I did not like this episode. Now, were there things that I liked within this episode? Yes. But overall, I think this is one of the weakest episodes of the season and has brought back a lot of bad memories from season 2 where there's a lot of shit going on and we lose the main plot going on. Like, if there were more episodes, the stuff with like A-Train and the Deep and Kimiko would potentially be working out better. However, with the weird stuff that we have to juggle with everything, how this thing was edited and how it jumped around certain things just did not work for me. And of course, we get this big twisty revelation, and it's just like, God, it introduces so many more problems than it actually freaking solves. So we start off the episode, we see VNN, Ashley's doing damage control, and they're pretty much spinning everything that Starlight has been saying about Vought, that Maeve's in rehab, that they should be considering Starlight for treason. I'm like, no. Uh, no. Okay, like, that ain't shit. They try and tie her to Kimiko and, like, freaking, like, human trafficking. I'm like, um, that's Vought too? Like, stupid fucking deflecting tactics and shit. I'm just like, you people are a bunch of assholes. Fuck you all. We also see Soldier Boy singing again because, fucking reasons. And we see that they're at the Legends house, and Huey, we get this whole kind of spiel as, I swear to God, they only have the Legend to spit out references that older people will get. And I'm not saying that to knock older people, but it's just like, okay, I've even heard, like, he's talking about that line about, like, what Pantyhose did to, like, finger fucking. I'm like, that was an old fucking reference and joke when I was born. And I'm even tired of it. Granted, I'm an old fuck too, but still. I'm like, alright, it's not like I've heard that millions of fucking times before. And that evidently they're out of Astroglide. And I'm like, alright, what the fuck is that? Evidently some kind of lube thing. And that the Legend dude's like, I tell you you're overstaying your welcome, but you're not welcome anyway. And that Huey thought that they were friends. Is like, no, I never made friends with the talent. And the dude just kind of popped up, and it's like, I can't tell him shit to not. It's like, alright. Let's see. And then he pretty much lays down that, like, Soldier Boy is just bullshit. He didn't storm D-Day. He only went there 2 weeks after for photo ops. He didn't really fight any Nazis. He pretty much was involved with, like, all the horrible shit that's been done in, like, the other horrible shit, like in Birmingham, at Kent State, potentially even involved in the JFK assassination because it was, like, Dealey Plaza. I even had to look that up. I'm like, what? Okay. And he just brings up the whole thing like, American, you know you're the hero, but the thing is you gotta sweep all this shit under the rug. It's like, yeah, but see, the thing is, if you call people out on their shit and have them be better and, like, either stop them from doing worse shit, like fucking Homelander and Soldier Boy, and, like, actually hit them with the consequences of their actions instead of fucking jerking them off, you don't get power-hungry fucknards that are trying to be like, hey, I can do whatever the fuck I want because I'm a god and you're all mud people. It's like, hey, fuck you, buddy! I'm at Starlight's kind of level of, like, I hate all this shit, and we just keep getting more shit. And bringing about that it's all the kind of myth and everything like that. And then Butcher comes in. It's like, is he still at it? And then we go down and we see Soldier Boy and these, like, two old ladies masturbating. And that he's getting ready. He's like, yeah, old ladies, they get finer with age, but you still kind of got to get lubed and stuff like that. And the Legend's like, I can't fucking fire those ladies now. It's like, were you ever going to? Like, with all the weird fucking shit you've done, I'm surprised you'd fire anybody because of what they could fucking tell people. And then, like, he just keeps going on about all these references and stuff, and it's just like, whatever. He just vomits in them. It's like, okay, a reference only works with context and executed well. Here, it's just there. That is a whole problem with this, of, like, doing all these not weird, these references, even to shit that's, like, happened, like, 1 or 2 years ago. Like, it would have probably been funny then, but the thing is, those references have a shorter shelf life. And the thing is, by the time you make these kind of shows, it's probably already moved past that to the point where you're like, okay, if you only do it about once or so, you might get a giggle or whatnot, but if you keep doing it like it's throughout this whole season, you're like, alright, you're beating a dead horse with this joke. And that's the thing, they keep beating certain jokes to death and doing redundant information that we've already gotten before. Alright, Butcher's pretty much like, all that shit you gave me on Mindstorm, you gave me 11 things, I checked 3 of them out, and I got shit about it. He's like, well, sounds like you got 8 more. It's like, I feel like I'm chasing my tail. If I don't know what I'm fucking looking for, it's not gonna fucking help. And then he's like, I don't know, man, Mindstorm was batshit. And then the Ledger's like, hey, he's bipolar. And then Huey's like, hey, if he's bipolar, he's got to take lithium medicine for that shit. And he'd have to put his cabins closer to that. And then Butcher's like, ooh, good one there. I'm like, yeah, Huey's smarter than he thinks. But then again, none of you are really thinking. Like, the plot demands that Huey's thinking while his brain's melting because of V24, as we learn throughout this episode. And then Soldier Boy's like, yeah, I need more wheat. It's like, alright, whatever. Then we get a good scene with, like, Homelander and Maeve, where it's not really as redundant with issues and stuff. He comes in to be like, alright, tell me what the fucking deal is with Butcher and Soldier Boy. And she's like, are you wearing concealer? Do you have a bruise? And he's, like, trying to, like, deflect from it and say what you set loose. And it's like, Maeve seeing that and, like, getting that with him being scared, as she says at the end of this scene, was great. It's like, yeah, you finally see that he can get hit, that he can get hurt. And we then get kind of info on what happened at the Herogasm thing. That Crimson Countess has killed 7 others, and that there's survivors that are powerless, that whatever Soldier Boy did, fried the V out of their system. However, we see that can pretty much be a temporary thing if you just re-inject the V, so that's a problem. And we see that of course freaks out Homelander if they'd all get depowered, because then he doesn't have his 1-up and he doesn't get to be called a god. May's like, I can't wait for it. I want it to be over. And he's like, oh, she's letting M live, that when it was better between them, he dreamed of having kids and everything like that. And she's like, whatever you stick up here, I'm going to break the fuck off. He's like, oh, I wouldn't force myself on you. That's why I'm just going to harvest your eggs, because our kids would be perfect and shit like that. I'm like, well, you're still fucking over her bodily autonomy, but if you want your godchildren, asshole, no, fuck him, that ain't right, fuck that shit. And that if she dies due to an accident or her own self-choice, that the best of her will be carried on through him, and that he's not keeping her he's not letting her live, he's keeping her alive, but that's still like one of the top 3 days for her because she saw him scared. Let's see. We then fucking go over to MM, and Frenchie and Kimiko come by. Starlight's like, shit, you fucked up, Kimiko, and then pretty much tracks her off to the bathroom. Frenchie, of course, is like smoking some shit with like ketamine in it and shit. And he brings up that Butcher is everyone's problem now, and I'm like, what? Like, I can understand that you can't get to that kind of level, that Butcher would be like a power crazy fuckhead that's gonna be like, I'm gonna take out all the soups, and that'll be it. But then you gotta be like, I gotta fucking deal with that asshole, because he's just gonna be an asshole. Like, whatever. We shift back over to, like, we barely stay here for long enough for shit to really get interesting. It's like, boom, boom, boom. Now we're back to Butcher, Huey, and Soldier Boy, figuring that the cabin is due west. We see Soldier Boy just smoking a joint and being kind of fucking paranoid and hearing, like, voices and shit. And I'm just like, alright, that's nuts. Now, granted, I put that more to being like, he's an asshole, he's got PTSD, he's been fucked and experimented on by the Russians, and I don't think even like the hefty bag of weed is really helping out, as Butcher's like, I'm trying to keep him medicated so that way he doesn't blow shit up. Oh, and we don't want to make eye contact with Mindstorm because he'll put you in a coma shit, and it's like, just don't do it. And then, of course, Butcher's like, isn't it crazy how what people do self-medicating as they then shoot up the Compound V? Then we get to the point where Black Noir's at this pretty much Chuck E. Cheese ripoff kind of thing, and then we see these Toon friends, or how he's pretty much coping and understanding what's been going on, and that he's afraid, and that they've helped him when he was 9 and he accidentally paralyzed a kid. He had an erection in 7th grade, so and he like fucked up in a Hard Rock Cafe massacre in Lagos. So this isn't new. Now, granted, I do like the tunes that they did. Technically, on a level, they're really good. I liked seeing the animation style and kind of the voices that they did for them. However, we just essentially get a little bit more information other than information that we'd already pretty much gotten out of here. Just explaining how Black Noir was like, fuck Soldier Boy, because he fucked him over for Beverly Hills Cop. We see Soldier Boy later on beating into gunpowder. He's an abusive prick. Black Noir calls him on it. It's like, why'd you say those horrible shit? He's like, if you get lie, I'm gonna fucking kill you, as he's beating the shit out of him. And of course, that gets Black Noir to be like, something needed to be done. We then shift over to the Nicaragua incident, and we pretty much just see how Black Noir got his face melted, and how he got that chunk ripped out of him as he fought Soldier Boy, and Soldier Boy mashed his face into like a hot vehicle, and then bashed his head in with his shield before the other parts of Payback got onto him, gassed him, and gave him to the Russians. He's like, you knew this was gonna, like, the one Toon character's like, you knew this was gonna happen, and you gotta fucking deal with it. Bravery doesn't mean you're not scared, it just means doing the shit that you need to, even though you're scared. So yeah, I pretty much did that whole thing like that. So we'll pretty much skim over that when we get to it, or just say that it happened here. So we see Huey, Soldier Boy, saying that he's hearing things, brings up that like Butcher's brain is leaking, and then we see that Soldier Boy kind of gets blown up because he trips a trap, and then Mindstorm looks into Butcher's eyes, and then he goes into a nightmare that pretty much gives information that we know of. His father was an abusive fuck. He abused Butcher and his brother Lenny, and it pretty much made Butcher become his father. Like, we get the whole kind of spiel of how fathers affect kids in this, and that it's a kind of nurture versus nature kind of thing, where this goes more of, I don't know if it's trying to say that it's more of the nature or whatnot, because Lenny wasn't like his father and wasn't really like Butcher. And Butcher had the capacity to be like Lenny and to stand up to his father and tell him to fuck off. Instead, he's essentially the same as his father, drinking, smoking, saying cunt a lot, beating people, and killing people. So Butcher just keeps doing those same things and keeps choosing those things. It's like, alright, fine, I understand that, but it doesn't make it interesting for me to see a world where everybody picks the worst options and there's like barely any consequences or repercussions for it. Like, or that they get certain consequences, but they're not really tied to those kind of things. It's just like random accident or whatnot. Like, I don't mind. Like, they don't have to immediately get fucking tanked. Like, inject something and his brain explodes. However, it would be a nice change of pace and being like, I wouldn't take that kind of dangerous drug. I don't give a fuck what you say. Superpower! Boom! Huh. Because we pretty much get more information about the whole drug trial thing, and the thing is, he doesn't give Huey the kind of info that he needs, because we get into other stuff. I know I'm kind of going out of order, but this whole episode was in a fucked up order anyway. But he's in there, and we pretty much just see his father being a douche, beating on him, and then him doing the same kind of thing to another person. Like, listen, you were caught selling weed, I gotta tell your father. It's like, really? Alright, then he beats him and accidentally hits Lenny, and his father, instead of punishing him for this, rewards him. So, it's like, yeah, you're doing bad things, but you keep rewarding people for doing the bad things. Homelander, Soldier Boy, Butcher, Huey, Huey less so, but he's like, I'm strong now, I can do this shit. But he kind of like gets a little bit out of it but they like achieve certain goals and objectives or get praise from people. It's like, okay, that ain't good. And Lenny was left alone for 6 months, and we see him do the killing of himself. And the thing is, it's still in his head from Mindstorm, pretty much just putting him in his worst nightmare as he's calling out that he kills all the people that he loves and all that. I'll get to that when I get to that. Soldier Boy was like, fuck that, he's gonna pretty much die from dehydration. Huey's like, hey, how about we just get Mindstorm and then get him out of this, and then you can kill him or whatnot. It's like, that's a reasonable thing. Soldier Boy's like, no. He's like, if you act hysterical, I'm gonna slap you. I was like, oh, you can gargle my ball sack. It's like, there's some funny lines, and the thing about, like, Soldier Boy in this is you could definitely see the bits of, like, Dean from Jensen Ackles acting, but this is, like, a dark version of Dean. Like, a worse one. Like, even worse than Demon Dean. Just all of the bravado and none of the accomplishment, none of the character strength, because he brings up, this is what soldiers do. It's like, yeah, but, like, Dean was a better example of that kind of shit. So it was definitely kind of interesting to see him going on that kind of thing. Let's see. The Butcher Lenny thing. Then we shift to MM and Frenchie. Thought he quit smoking. MM's like, yeah, I did this halothane thing, but it should have worked. It's like, I don't know if that's halothane. And then, of course, Frenchie's lamenting that he missed Herogasm. He's like, that's not halothane, that's the wrong texture. And they do find out that it's like a Russian nerve agent because it's a vapor, because he was looking at shit from his coffee cup. And we see MM's OCD. It's like, oh yeah, we both are like a mess. It's like, alright, okay. We see Kimiko and Starlight. For some reason, Flashdance is on in the background. That's where Kimiko asks Annie to get Compound V for her. Makes kind of like no sense at this point because she's quit Vought and then somehow is able to get back into Vought Tower with no repercussions. She's like, I don't know if I do that. But then they bring this like drink out and Kimiko has her first drink. And she's like, oh shit, well, congrats. And then asks about Huey. She's like, I'm done. He doesn't want to be saved. Which is completely and utterly countermanded at the end of this episode, pretty much. But it makes sense because Huey is not given all the information and everybody's like, yeah, Butcher's not going to do that. Soldier Boy talks about weed. Looking paranoid. Of course, he's like, yeah, why the fuck do you miss Butcher so much? He saved me, and he's like family, and I need to save him. He's like, you get the get the job done, not a pussy. Calls him on the bullshit, smacks him. He said, I warned you. We see Deep and his wife. This was a fucking useless kind of thing. Deep's like, oh, I'm gonna be on Hannity. I can do this myself. It's like, all right, you dumb fuck. Let's see how this works for you. It's like, you goddamn idiot. Fuck you, dude. Like, and then he's like, the wife's like, hey, let me help you get prepared for this interview and shit. And he's like, no, let's say that, like, our sex has been vanilla. It's like, I want to introduce another lover, and he wants to bring in the octopus. And it's just the complete same fish fucking joke. And it's like, I don't give a shit. And then he's just pretty much getting sucked off by the octopus. He's like, oh, she wants to taste you. And the lady's like, nope. And I'm like, listen. There is a difference between having, like a vanilla sex life and then introducing some other kind of stuff and then, hey, this is bestiality and shit. And it's and somebody's like, hey, why don't you let this octopus eat you out? No, you aren't a vanilla motherfucker there. That is a line that, like, not a lot of people cross. So, no. And she's bringing up how she gave up a year of her life, gave up her tenure at Vassar, which is a dumb fucking, like, I'd have to go to being like, lady, that was your dumb fucking ass. Everybody who looks at this motherfucker knows he is a stupid fuck. Except he looks in the mirror and thinks that he is not a stupid fuck. And he has no understanding of his limitations or what he can and can't do. And he has just been inoculated from most of his consequences, even though he got hit with the whole thing of raping Starlight he's still back in the 7 and people are still talking to him. I'm like, granted, there is redemption and shit, but he is not redeemed. He just fucking did stupid shit and fell back in, and Homelander's like, I want this dude back in. It's like, not, he did no work to get any redemption. And we just keep him going around being like, I'm a fucking great guy who fucking gets sucked off by an octopus. And I could give a fuck. Please cut this shit, because this character is just a fucking joke. That should be to death. Please stop it. South Park's going to get that corpse. Shit, they even fucking did that with Kanye. He's like, I'm not a gay fish. But even that wasn't beaten to death. God damn it. So yes, that goes on. Then we shift over and get the whole thing with Black Noir and getting beaten by Soldier Boy, and then getting to him with his whole kind of thing. We did the Butcher thing about the whole weed thing and his father saying cunts. Soldier Boy and Huey come upon a father and a nun. Car troubles. Like, there's a supervillain in the area. Just like, chill out. It's like, you should leave. It's like, all the car's fucked. And yeah, you know engines? It's like, sure, I'll take a look. And then Huey's like, trying to like calm him down and shit. But then, Soldier Boy shoots the father, saying that like, he was brainwashed. And he's like, I think it's a PTSD, man. You fucked up. And then the nun starts attacking him, calling him a cocksucker and everything. He's like, ah, shit, get him. And Soldier Boy's just like trying to aim. He's like, come on, man. And then gets her pretty good. And he's like, fuck that exorcist shit. He's like, and then he's like, I don't have shell shock. Fuck you. And it's like, this is what it means to be a soldier. And then Huey crosses himself and they just like go off. Then we see Homelander listening to Starlight in his room. And he's just being like, ah. Well, granted, not going, ah, but just being like, this usual kind of like fucking psychopathic kind of staring thing. The actor is very good at that. However, it just really doesn't add much. And then we just go to Homelander bad-mouthing Starlight for human trafficking at a rally that he's just going on an insane rant. Newman's like, what the fuck's going on? And Bobby, who's not Bobby, who's running for president, is like, what the fuck's going on here? As he's like, doing this to the crowd, so like, oh, fuck the media and shit like that. And then he's about to pretty much laser this dude because he thinks that it's Soldier Boy, but then it's not. It's just a dude who barely even passingly has shit on that looks like Soldier Boy. It's like, god damn. And then he goes to a cow and he milks it to the song of Crimson and Clover. I'm like, fucking hell. Of course we couldn't go a whole fucking season without any more fucking milk shit. However, I will hand it to him on this one that they only did this one and haven't been like doing it every fucking episode. It's like, we get it. We get he's stressed and that he's under pressure, and that I can accept with it for it. But I'm just like, you're putting time on this? Alright. Newman, of course, calls him out. It's like, hey, do you miss breakfast or whatnot? Let's see, telling him to pull his shit together, admit it, Soldier Boy, and get the situation under control. And he's like, you think I'm not under control? It's like, you should be talking up the president, not ranting like a fucking asshole. And then he grabs her and be like, why the fuck do I need you or to trust you? She's like, I got rid of Edgar. Well, this is a transactional relationship. Tit for tat kind of thing. Gives her a paper. And it's like, we don't know what the paper's for, but I think it's like where Ryan's at. That's the only thing we get that I think would work out. I don't know what else it could be. And we don't get a complete definitive answer at the end of this. So unless it's like from when we get the whole kind of reveal thing that we get 3 generations and then these fucking assholes then get a hold of Ryan and we get some kind of time jump in season 4 where it's just 3 fucking assholes. God, please no. Fuck no. Alright, then we shift over to A-Train. Now granted, setting the scene for you. Last time we saw A-Train, he was in the middle of buttfuck nowhere, dying, pretty much going to be dead. We come back to him, and he's in a hospital, and he's alive. The amount of bullshit that needed to occur for him to survive this and for this shit to kind of go down is just unreal. I'm like, I actually would have rather been like, okay, his ending of being that way would have been a pretty decent morally gray area where he has kind of recognized the error of his ways, recognized that some soups are just fucking assholes, and took a bad route and killed the dude and died in the same process, and hopefully getting at least some what he believes is justice but would actually be vengeance for his brother. Here, I swear to God, they just essentially do it more as a joke, because you're essentially being like, hey, we found you a heart and everything. Let me see. Found him, the whole spiel. Be like, oh yeah, Soldier Boy attacked. You tried to save Blue Hawk, but he was killed. And the thing is, his heart was compatible with yours. Like, I don't even know how it would have been compatible. Like, the amount of bullshit that his heart needed to be compatible with A-Train's. Like, it's lucky that a heart would have worked out for him and is super able, and then it's compatible too. Like, so much. So they essentially put Blue Hawk's heart into A-Train, and it's just going of like, hey, he did a bad thing and he essentially got rewarded for it, even though he's like, that fucking weird that I murdered a dude and I got his heart and I'm okay now. You know what I mean? He does at least look like he's trying to process that shit of being like, this is fucked up. And I'm like, yeah, you're now a joke. It's like, ha ha ha, we got this dude who's doing all this horrible fucked up shit and you kill him for hurting your brother and other people, and then you get his heart and he lives on in you. It's like, oh, fuck this shit. And then she's like, oh, it's so great. You got a super abled heart. You got no heart disease. We'll do this whole kind of movie that's essentially just fucking like, oh, you're a disadvantaged youth and you get like coached by Tom Hanks. It's just like, that's not what fucking happened. My brother coached me. It's like, yeah, do the fucking good story, not the and the good true story, not this fucked up stupid shit. And that she asked if he comfortable talking shit about Starlight. He's like, yeah, okay. It's like, oh, fucked up shit. Let's see. MM and Frenchie figure out the nerve gas shit. And then they're like, how are we gonna get that? Another vacation to Russia? And I'm like, please God, no! Fuck that. Like, I swear to God, if they have to go back to Little Nina or whatnot, I'm just gonna fucking just... No, man. I mean, Frenchie is like a chemical crazy man. If he can't just get like a certain kind of approximation and make it, for crying out loud, please, no more of that. Let that shit be done. God damn it. Ugh. So then MM sees a pic of Todd and his daughter at the Homelander rally. He's pissed off. And then he goes off to confront them. We'll get to that in a minute. We then see Frenchie and KK. What the fuck? KK Slider. Why the fuck did I go to Animal Crossing? Sorry, notes are weird. Frenchie and Kimiko, they're just like, I want to dance with you. Because she showed a thing to Annie about, like, why Annie would go and help her. And she wanted to feel his arms for real, because when she was super strong, they felt like bendy straws. I'm like, alright, cool. And that she pretty much explains that she wants the V back, and he's like, why? You got your humanity back. You got everything you wanted. And the thing is, she considers Frenchie family, to paraphrase, and that she almost lost him, and that she thinks that it makes sense to have this choice, to choose the V this time, to protect you, protect her family. And that I get. However, the execution for this whole thing is completely and utterly fucked. It's been shortened so much that we get only sporadic bursts that are really not interesting and really pretty much plot contrived to get to that kind of point. It's like, it doesn't really feel like her choice for it. And then they talk about how the kiss was weird, but not really, but wanting to protect him. We get Starlight and Vought. No explanation of how she gets in there. She just fucking gets in there, gets the compound V, sees that the V-24 is doing lesions, making brains into Swiss cheese, and like after 3 to 5 doses, it pretty much kills people. And I'm like, yeah, but that's an average. You could be worse off and be like, hey, you could either die on the first dose or even less doses, which Butcher doesn't take into account when he keeps that information from Huey. Yep, alright. We should have had that one there, but whatever. This is where the Black Noir thing goes. Because Edgar did the whole thing. Was like, yeah, you can take out Soldier Boy. We got a child. He can fly. We can replace him. We're good. We see that Mother's confronts Todd, and Todd just spouts the bullshit. He tells the daughter to go in the house and be like, yeah, I don't want her there because Soldier Boy's going after Homelander. I mean, seriously, why the fuck would you do that? And so, oh, you don't listen. Oh, why do you listen to that shit? You got to look outside of the media. It's like, if you're looking at media and at mainstream media too, it's like, he saw Soldier Boy. He's dealt with Soldier Boy. He's seen Homelander do this stuff. He's like got factual fucking shit, man. And you're just like, yeah. It's always crazy to see what like conspiracy theorists bullshitters are like, hey. I'm like, verify sources and stuff like that. Verify information. It's like, of course they wouldn't want to bring up that kind of shit. Ugh. And of course they get into a fight, pretty much. His ex-wife wasn't okay with that. It's like, if Todd wants to risk his life, he can do that. You're not her father. Someone has to be, and then he hits him. And it's like, you didn't have to do that. You know what I mean? You're just answering with violence like that. No. It's like, fuck that asshole. It's like, no. I'm like, what? Granted, he's dealing with weird fucking soup problems that he doesn't really talk with anybody about, so yeah, if people knew about that, that'd be kind of a different story. And of course, we see that, like, his daughter's not okay and can see her starting similar kind of, like, not as egregious patterns that MM has, but you can tell that, like, she's starting some OCD kind of things to kind of cope with stress. We then see that Starlight's confronted by Homelander. It's like, he's like, oh yeah, I knew the minute you entered the building. It's like, really? Could have fucking fooled me. I mean, she got into your fucking shit easier than if she was fucking in Vought to begin with. But whatever. He's like, you're gonna go to VNN, you're gonna recant everything. And she's like, no, I'm gonna stop Soldier Boy. I'm gonna find Maeve if she's alive. And he's like, oh, she's learning manners, which you need to do. And she doesn't give a shit, and I'm like, yeah. Like, honestly, even though he can do all this horrible shit to her, he's got no leverage. She doesn't give a shit if she dies. She doesn't give a shit if he kills other people, because that's his choice to do it. And, I mean, she'd stop him if she could, or try and make sure that that's minimized, but, like, holding that sort of Damocles over people, it's like, that is then your choice. You know what I mean? And if you go fuck off deep balls into being an asshole and fucking murder somebody in public, trying to figure out how that's going to go with the whole thing. She's like, I saw that how small you are because of when you killed Supersonic. He brings up the whole Huey thing. He's like, yeah, go for it. I don't give a shit. But you just told my, like, 190 million followers as she's, like, streaming, and he's, like, pissed off. It's like, yeah, that should have done more. Like, that should have immediately killed his shit. And he's like, yeah, I'm this asshole. I'm this dick, but whatever. And of course, later on, he's telling Ashley to fucking handle it. It's like, alright, how the fuck do you spin that? You're like, I can kill somebody. It's like, no, fuck no. So we get Huey and Soldier Boy. They come up on a barn. They see Mindstorm, and he knows that Soldier Boy's going to go for him, so he teleports to the dude, teleports him out. They're both kind of naked, and he's like, what the fuck did you do? And then Huey's like closing his eyes, like, listen, I want to talk to you. We don't have to do this naked. Gives him some clothes. He's like, listen, you all butcher, I'll take you wherever the fuck you want. I'll teleport you and never tell God, a soul, where the fuck you are. Alright? He's like, alright, cool. He brings up that Soldier Boy's full of shit. He's like, listen, all I want to do is go home. So Huey's like, yay, I don't want to deal with this shit. That dude's full of shit. Butcher's kind of fucked up too because he got immediately, like, comaed. But the thing is that Butcher's his family and he wants to help and save him, and that's that. Then we get the whole Lenny kind of thing. And of course, he went off to the barracks and they wouldn't let him out. Everyone you loved ended up getting killed. Now it'd be Huey. And when he's gone, no one up there to stop him. But of course, Butcher wakes up saying he's sorry. And then Soldier Boy shows up having thrown a knife into Mindstorm's eye, which was fucking gnarly. And then he, like, kind of beats him. He gets a bag over his head, goes over to Huey, punches him out. Butcher eyeballs him with the laser eyes. I'm like, hey, fuck off with that shit. And wants to know what happened. Knows it was not his idea. It was Black Noir's, but of course he doesn't move without Vought, so Vought did the green light, tells him something, he says that's impossible, and then beats him to death with his shield. And they ask what he said. Soldier Boy's then in a room kind of thinking, and Butcher's kind of crying. Gets a call from Starlight pretty much saying that, like, the V-24 is horrible as shit. 3 to 5 doses will kill you. And then she can't get in contact with Huey because, of course, he keeps teleporting and he keeps losing his fucking phone. So that's why. It's like, alright, that at least makes sense. And they want Butcher to tell him and promise to call him every 5 minutes. And then Huey gets back with Long John Silver's. And then Butcher's like, hey, the Temp V, we need more of it. We need to get it more from the office. And they're going to finish. It's like, Butcher, fuck you. Give him the information so he can make his own goddamn choice. If he has decided that he's willing to take that chance, that's on him then. Don't take the choice from other people. Fuck you, whatever. But of course, his vengeance is more important at this point. Never mind that he's trying to kill all the Supes, but he's probably going to be like, hey, if I can get Homelander, I can at least do that. Which kind of fucks over MM if they're going that route with him. But it shows that Butcher learned nothing, and that the whole thing with his whole nightmare thing was useless. It's just fluff. Like, things that we already knew, just repackaged in a different kind of thing to be redundantly spat out. That is happening more, and I'm like, okay, I don't mind getting new information with a kind of a repeat of certain things. However, they just keep nailing the kind of stuff that we've already known. Let's see here. Starlight's trying to call, talking with Frenchie, and they both know that Butcher's not going to tell Huey. And Kimiko wants to know what to do, and they're like, we're going to save Huey even if he doesn't want to, which is very hypocritical of Starlight, who's like, that is what Huey was trying to do for you, so it's fine if you do it, but not if other people try and do it for you. Yes, this is one of the only good people, and this is her thinking process. Granted, there are different circumstances in that Huey is not given all the information to form a good kind of opinion on being like, hey, if I keep taking this shit, I'm gonna fucking die, and my brain might come out my nose holes, and then, like, turn into some kind of squid thing. I don't fucking know. I'm at least gonna be dead in some kind of respect for that. But it's just, like, the same thing that Huey was doing for her. It's just circular. It's like, whatever. Then they give the V to Kimiko. They inject her kind of similar to Newman's daughter, and she heals up. It's really kind of weird because she had stitches in her stomach, and then they're, like, gone. I'm like, I understand that those things can, like, disintegrate and everything like that, but you would think they'd either fall out, or when they're healed, like she got healed, they'd be inside her, and I'm like, that ain't fucking good, but whatever. So she's got that back, and it's like, alright. So we then go to Homelander, and we see this address thing in Minnesota, which I'm thinking is, like, coordinates to Ryan. Homelander's like, Ashley, just fucking handle it. Did not know it was on record. And then somebody calls, tells him that Soldier Boy's on the line, put it through, asks if it's really him, and then, like, you only got lucky because you ambushed me. And then he pretty much brings out, like, in the 1980s, they called me for Vogelbaum, and then a kid was born in spring of 1981. And the thing is, he's like, the bitches, if they kept me around, I would have let you take the spotlight. What father wouldn't do that for their son? And I'm like, oh, jeez. So, Homelander is Soldier Boy's son. Now, that's kind of similar to the comics, but in the comics, Homelander was kind of a clone of Stormfront. Now, Stormfront was male in the comic books, though still a Nazi. I swear to God, if they're, like, combining it, and Homelander is, like, the son of Soldier Boy and Stormfront, and he technically was, like, having sex with his mother, even though... I hope not. I just don't need that level of fuckery in this goddamn fucked up weird ass show anymore. And it's just like, it seemed like a plot twist for the sake of a plot twist. It doesn't really add much other than like, oh, now we've taken this potential weapon away that they could use on Homelander, so they're even back further from square one. And now we've got two Homelanders to deal with, and if they go after Ryan and essentially be like, let's make him into, like, the perfect kind of weapon god fucking thing, and he's not Superman, but, like, the worst perfected version of Homelander ever, I swear to God, I'm gonna fucking lose my shit. Like, I get it if you'd like to watch something where, like, the bad guys pretty much win all the time. You know what I mean? Do you, that's cool. And if you like this episode, cool. I don't want to take that shit from you. Alright? Enjoy it. Okay? But the problem is, you get to a point, it's like, this is just plot twist for the sake of plot twist. You get to a point where almost everybody's going to be fucking related through some kind of weird plot contrivance, and it's just like, goddamn, this, like, really fucks up the whole kind of thing. I was like, alright, then what are they going to do to get? Are we going to use Ryan again? Are we going to have to hyperbolic time chamber this motherfucking kid to, like, get him to a point where he actually is able to take these assholes out? It's just, like, it really shows the problem of, like, malevolent, asshole, arrogant gods and having to, like, have something to deal with those motherfuckers. It's like, Jesus. Damn you, Kripke. Why does everyone need to be related? And we have no way to kill him. It's like, afterward, I'm like, it's like, Maury Povich, you are the father. I'm like, whatever. I'm almost half expecting that, like, Butcher somehow becomes related to somebody or something for this kind of shit to kind of work out. Damn it. Why the fuck didn't they ever get V and just, like, inject regular V into the boys to see if that worked out? I mean, shit, it looks like they're compatible with the V24. I don't know, man. This has just gotten into, like, insanity. Too much shit going on that really doesn't add much to the overall plot. And too little episodes to have those things in play so that way, like, they need more episodes to actually provide value for those things. Like, there is value in A-Train and The Deep and Kimiko if they do their cards right. However, The Deep is just a fucking joke that could just be cut. You've done at least 3 seasons of this man fucks fish. That's his contribution to this show. That's it. A-Train's main contribution was the accidental killing of Huey and setting him upon his hero's journey path. And they kind of spun wheels with him ever fucking since. Like, granted, his killing of Popclaw, his trying to do what he needs to do and still be a hero with his heart, even though he's just an asshole with certain things. We see some definite changes, but there's not enough time invested within the episodes to actively delve into that. Am I interested in that? Yes. Was I interested in seeing what he would be doing dealing with Blue Hawk? Yes. However, we don't have that time, and they fucked that over and screwed that potential over. Same with Kimiko. Kimiko would be definitely interesting as someone who has been trapped, made into pretty much a soldier for this weird kind of army place, and then got out of it and tried to, like, stop those people from doing it to other people, and now choosing to have the powers that she thought made her a monster. That has potential that they are rarely executing on here. And now, our whole thing of, like, the main thing of, like, here's this bad Superman dude. We have nothing that can hurt and kill him at this point, except for the V24, where Butcher can just beat the shit out of him and hopefully kill him if he can do it within 24 hours. It's like a war of attrition. And the way this went, yes, I understand that V24 is dangerous and harmful. However, if your thing is to take out fuckheads 1 and 2, get the boys together, pop them up with as much V24 as possible, and try and kill them both in a 24-hour period. Yeah, that dude can explode at many other points, but if you can rip his fucking head off and rip Homelander's fucking head off, you got it. You just pretty much use Butcher with his strength and his laser eyes to just fucking do this stuff. Huey could just be nakedly teleporting everywhere. I mean, imagine the fucking shit show that would happen if he teleported onto Homelander's head with his junk. Homelander would fucking, like, he'd be... You can fight someone naked once, and it'll confuse the ever-loving fuck out of those people. Then you gotta wait about 50 to 100 years before people would be like, I gotta watch out, that motherfucker's gonna try and fight naked again. Because... understandably, if you go into battle scenario and you see anybody naked, you're going to be like, what the fuck? And if that person's like, I got it now, and then, like, cracks at it, you know what I mean? You get that one kind of crucial second where you could probably beat wholesale ass before they're like, you don't have anything on, and I can kill you very easily, you wily, slippery bastard. But, like, I don't know anymore. It's like, tactically, you're like, I'm gonna use things that will kill him. Okay, MM, what the fuck is that? Hellthane don't fucking work. He gets fucking high off of it. Russian nerve agent makes him go sleepy time. So what are you gonna do after that? They fucking shot him. They fucking irradiated him. I mean, your main bet is to soup up and rip his fucking head off. And hope that you got blasted up enough to do that. Only one who seems to be able to be doing that is Butcher at this point, because I think he was, well, granted, it's probably beefed up to, like, Soldier Boy and him whacking ass on him, but whatever. I'm just, if you want to make it where the bad guys win, fine, but that doesn't work for me. I mean, I need a back and forth. I mean, bad guys can win in certain instances, and then you get the good guys at a certain point, or you get to a point where, like, none of them win. There's, like, a certain scenario where they just get to a point where they stop them from doing something horrible or whatnot and move on, but that's not the kind of shit that I like to watch. I'm not into nihilism and everything sucks and everything's shit and all that. That's just not my shit. You know what I mean? So, this is mainly just try to watch to see when Homelander gets fucking tanked out. Kind of like a Joffrey scenario with Game of Thrones. It's just like, alright, when's that little fuck gonna, like, get his just desserts? And it's justice that I aim for, not vengeance, you know? Because it's just, well, granted, if they could just figure out a way to depower him, but we don't, like, they haven't even researched how Soldier Boy is able to depower the soups. If you could do that, and then, like, fucking make it into a gun or something, and just be like, hey, Homelander, eat shit, fuck nard, and then fucking, like, tank him while he's just doing something, just either standing there or flying. Granted, I would prefer it where he's standing there, so that way he understands and has to deal with the gravity of everything that he has done, and you're like, yeah, guess what, dude? You can't escape from your consequences now. Because that would be worse than death for that dude. He thinks he's a god. I just felt like this was just step back and be like, hey, people watching this. That's how I felt. If you didn't feel that, that's cool. Like it, watch it, continue. Fuck, so I don't even know where we're going to be doing in this last episode, because we know we're getting season 4, but if anything, I would just watch it and not review it. I still have to think of how that works out, and granted, the last episode could change my views on how this show is going. I always entertain that could be something that happens, but they got a lot of fucking shit to do for me on that. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.